the movement and the message and what we're trying to do and improve lives is way more powerful than anything else. And that's why we do it.
Hey, everybody. I just want to thank you for tuning in and listening to the Max Afterburner podcast. I'm your host today, Theresa Noach, filling in for Matt Buckley. And I am really excited about our guest that we are going to introduce you to here shortly. But first, I just wanted to remind you to make sure you share the love. If you like this content, make sure whatever platform you're watching from, you rate us at a 5-star, hit the subscribe, all the things. We really appreciate you. You help us keep this channel going. Also, visit our website, sacredwarriorfellowship.com, to find out about our next ceremony that you ought to get involved in. I'm so excited to bring this interview to our listeners today. This is Mike Smith sitting with me. I'm so honored to have you here today, Mike.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Mike is the head alchemist and visionary owner of Alchemist Farms, which I look forward to sharing about some of your products that I've had an opportunity to add to my repertoire of things that I like to take. And also recently you participated and came as a member to one of our ceremonies.
In your description, you said service members, family members, and civilian, right? Mm-hmm. I am the civilian in the bunch.
You are.
I am. And I was honored to be the civilian in the bunch, to tell you the truth, that they would invite me into their circle and their ceremony and your circle.
Yeah.
And to be part of it.
Always. And Sacred Warrior Fellowship, you know, has a heart and a passion for healing in general.
Sure.
And of course, it came out of this place of Wiz, you know, our founder, Matt Buckley, having this transformative, life-changing experience in Africa with ibogaine, and then further on into other ceremonial type healing that's radically changed his life. And it's like, I've got to put the ladder down to all my brothers and sisters in the service. But then it's like, quickly, wait a minute, this is for everybody. So yeah, we No Fallen Heroes, aspires to make it possible for all veterans and their family to attend psychedelic therapeutic retreats. And so No Fallen Heroes helps to provide with grants and scholarships for people that need that help. Sure. Whereas Sacred Warrior Fellowship is a fellowship for, everybody. Right. And yeah, so you're not just anybody, you're not just everybody. So we welcome you as one of our newest members, but also as the head alchemist on our team and social scientist, which is a phrase that you just schooled me on a little bit. Tell me a little bit more, because I love that term, social scientist. That's you.
Well, there's a movement in the world of people like me or people like you, right? And especially the ones that work in the mushroom industry or in the psychedelic industry, that we are not educationally trained. We are spiritually trained. We're trained by others who have been there before us. And our message is to take it to the streets and make the change out there. And I'm one of many, 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 many social scientists or mycologists. And most of us practiced underground or in a very silent way because of laws, jurisdictions, whatever it is. So to be able to come out and be part of a fellowship and be part of a community and find my tribe, if you will, is about the biggest blessing that I could find in a long time. And to be able to provide these sacraments with intention and with the love that they're made, and to see the results of what happens, that's where the power lies.
Wow.
And it may be frowned upon in some circles. It may be judged, but we don't care.
That's right.
Social scientists don't care. The movement and the message and what we're trying to do and improve lives is way more powerful than anything else. And that's why we do it.
That's right. It is very satisfying to be in alignment with such a beautiful vision in such a time as this, when we know that there's just so much confusion and anger and hurt and baggage. And you and I have talked before, about our ideas when it comes to, how we got this way in the world.
Right.
And regardless of how we got here, you and I also know that we have some tools in our toolbox to help change the trajectory of the consciousness of society. So the
Right.
more that we can continue in the social science and be out and among people, growing that tribe too, because that's such an important part of the ongoing
For
process,
sure. For
right?
sure. If I'm better, I can help others be better.
Yeah.
If I'm not, I can't. Right.
Right.
But if you see the light, you go toward the light, you'll want to bring people with you. You can't bring them all and some will kick and scream and they don't want any part of it. But in order for us to make a better society, a better planet, to feel better, to be more human, things have to change. And I think on a universal level that things are changing. You know, there are souls that are waking up every day and then waking up other souls. You know, we don't want to be sad anymore. You know, we don't want society to tell us that we're depressed or we're sad. And that happens a lot. You might not feel good today, but if the pressure from society tells you that you need medication and you're not right, well, you're going to feel that way. But if society tells you that you are enough, you are spirit, you have God in you, you know, it's ass backwards the way we deal with things. And if I can change a little things, a little bit at a time, for a little bit of people, the ripple effect will change a lot of things for a lot of people over a short period of time.
Yes.
And that's my job, right?
Yes.
I see that as my service.
Yeah.
And at 57 years old, you know, if I hadn't gone through things I went through, I would not be able to be of service.
Right.
And I am blessed to be of service.
That's right. You are, and you're an incredible blessing to us, to our community, to our soul tribe, and I'm looking forward to growing with you and learning from you. And we each have those sets of skills that we've developed from the fire, from the hard knocks, and one of the most beautiful parts of this journey is being able to zoom out and realize that somehow it all really did fit together in the big plan and the big purpose, and that nothing really is wasted if we allow it to be alchemized from the lead to the gold.
Right.
Every single piece of this journey, all of the sickness, all of the pain, all of the war, all of the battle can be integrated into the big picture. We can find purpose and meaning in all the things that led us to this point.
In alchemy, you use your aversion as fire. You change that. Your trials, your tribulations.
Yes.
You turn that into fire and
Yes.
use that as fuel. You know, we are all born with magic.
Yes.
We are perfect little souls when we come into the world. And then we get, you could say, corrupted or changed or conformed, or, you know, there's the society's dream that we must fall into.
Yeah.
And then we may have strife or we may have devastation or whatever it may be, and we lose that magic. And that's unfortunate, because if we could carry it and we could encourage it in the smallest of the small to the oldest of the old, society would be totally different. It's lopsided now because we're not taught the right things. You know, our parents don't have the capacity to teach us, their parents. This is change that we have to make on our own. And it truly is the most difficult project you will ever have. And a lot of souls will not make it. They will come and learn lessons again.
Yeah.
And I believe that
I agree.
we are put here to learn lessons and to evolve and to become the best human we could be. And then who knows what happens after that. But it's a tough road, and a lot of souls they're not winning. You know, they feel left behind. They feel out of place. They feel different. And truly, we are all one. You are me. You are the other me.
Yeah.
She is the other me. We have to see that. And then there's no separation. You know, there won't be wars. There won't be hate. There won't be murder if we could just get together and we are all the same people, the same souls. Your stardust and my stardust came from about the same place, right?
Yeah.
Even though our meat suits look different,
Yeah.
we are still the same. And we have to recognize that.
Yeah. And I think that when one person, back to the domino effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
When one person experiences and takes ownership for their healing, right? Takes responsibility for their healing journey, that also ends up having a triple effect outward or a domino effect outward, because when you become accountable to yourself for your process, you also become accountable for how you are observing your triggers.
Right.
That is a part of what psilocybin has the incredible potential to do, is help you to see,
Identify, if you will.
identify the triggers in your life from a less reactive place,
Right.
so that you can re-script those situations. We just had a guy at the ceremony that you were at, it was kind of funny. He said, I'm angry. And this is before we took the sacrament of the mushroom. At this point, he had just recently experienced Sananga.
Right.
Okay. And
Yeah.
Sananga is a sacrament in the eyes, and it teaches you to breathe through discomfort at the very surface of what it does. It's just an incredible offering that we have. But the initial burning that this gentleman was feeling triggered him. And he's walking around, and I'm kind of rallying everybody back into the yoga room now, because people start to get nervous right before, and everybody's fidgety, and we're getting all the babes back in the room now for story time. And he says, I'm angry. And I said, what are you angry at? And he says, I don't know why, but I'm mad about those drops.
Right.
And I said, I'm glad that you're able to communicate that you're mad at the drops. That's good. But is it possible that you're not mad at the drops at all?
Right.
Is it possible that anger is connected to something else? And he said, well, yeah. And he said, I was a little kid and I was pepper sprayed.
Right.
And it just brought me right back. And I said, well, that's PTSD, right? That is, well, we changed it from PTSD to PTSI. It's an injury, not a disorder.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it's an injury, not a disorder.
Right.
It can be healed.
Words.
Yeah.
Words make a difference.
So it's like you have a post-traumatic stress injury from a time when you were a little boy, this burn shot you back into that, right?
Sure.
So now he hadn't even taken the sacrament. We're not even into the psilocybin journey yet, but he's already having this other perspective on those triggers. And so when we start walking this journey out, what we realize is that for a time, the whole world is going to show us those triggers for a while.
Oh, for sure.
It's going to be a period of time where we're faced with those, and you don't know what your strength is until you're tested. And
we're raw, right?
Yeah, you're raw. And so when you start doing the work, this is what doing the work is.
Yeah.
The doing the work part is not blowing up on people like you used to. Right. The doing the work part is making different strides in a new direction in comparison to what you had done or hadn't done before.
Right.
It's doing something new. And so by learning how to be less reactive, which is what a lot of our sacraments teach us, is how to breathe through the difficulty of life. And so when we're learning how to not be reactive, suddenly the people in our lives go, they've changed.
Right.
They've changed.
Right.
You're not reacting. You're not so anxious. You're not
you
so
won't
angry.
Engage in whatever madness goes on. And what you can contribute that to is the new neuron pathways that grow. Okay.
Yes.
So psilocybin.
Tell me more.
Psilocybin, lion's mane mushrooms have NGR, nerve growth factor. So as we age, we are conditioned beings. We react the same way. We have the same 3 reactions or 5 reactions. One is mad, one is anger. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a red light, you're upset because it's red. A guy cuts you off in traffic, you're mad. You may throw out whatever it may be. But we are creatures of condition. Mm-hmm. When you start to have new neurons develop and old pathways connect again, you have different options. Mm-hmm. There's no longer option of I am mad. There's, well, maybe I'll breathe a minute, or maybe I'll do things different. there's so many different possibilities that come up that you are forced to act, right? You don't flip like that. You can think, oh, I could do that. That's what I'm used to doing, that trigger.
Because you have
That hurt,
choices now.
right? But now you have choices, so it's different. So now you can walk around that problem, or you can sit with it for a few minutes and decide, I don't feel like dealing with this shit today. I'm not doing that. The guy that cut you off, he probably doesn't even see you.
Yeah.
He's not mad at you. If the person in the grocery line, you're impatient with that, those people have so much shit going on that it's not about you.
Yeah.
You know, our ego thinks everything's about us.
Right.
And that's such crap, because if you take a minute and not act and not react and just think about whatever that situation is, especially if it's unpleasant, this will tell you how to act. The message will come from your soul. The one that comes up here is conditioned response. It's like hitting a recorder. You just keep playing this response over and over.
Yeah.
But after sacrament, the neurons grow fast. That lights up the front of your brain. If you microdose, it happens over time and it happens slowly. And you realize one day, well, I didn't do that the same way. And it makes your life more manageable. And it also makes everybody in your life more open.
Yeah.
You see them different.
Yeah.
They see you different. And a lot of times people in our circle, they don't like change either.
Yeah.
They don't like you to change. They want you to stay the same. Because if you change, they may have to change and they're not ready to change. So our peer groups, our family dynamics, everything starts to change, which makes the person sometimes uneasy or unsettled. You know, they don't have all the information yet. There's change going on, which is scary. Nobody makes change until they're forced to it. We are terrible creatures in that area that when the pain gets too great, we'll make a change.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't physically or mentally make a change until some pressure and some pain are put on us. And sacrament and psychedelics, they make that transition a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
That's why plant medicine has been around since the planet's been around.
Right.
Right? Everything was put on this planet that we needed. God provided everything. Now, in my opinion, most governments have taken that away and replaced that with something else that we don't need, don't want, can't use, and our body doesn't want.
Right.
But everything is out there for our healing, for our health benefits, for our mind benefits. And what I'm trying to do, my purpose is to be a better human, help other humans be better humans. If we all move together and we thought about it, we can move a mountain. I guarantee it. If enough people focus enough energy on things, we could do anything we want. It's just too scattered. We don't know how to focus it. We're too busy paying bills, taking care of kids, worrying about, what things cost at the grocery store. Life is hard enough on its own.
Yeah.
If you get your soul right and your mind right, none of that shit matters anymore.
Yeah.
The system will provide. The universe will make sure that you're taken care of. If you put your trust in the system, in the universe, in your spirit, in your ancestors that are around you,
Yeah.
in the people that walk with us that we can't see.
Yeah. And whatever you call God.
Yeah.
Whatever you call God, source, spirit, one of the things that we pride ourselves on in Sacred Warrior Fellowship is that we are a church that believes that everyone should have spiritual autonomy and the freedom to feel safe in expressing their faith as it pertains to their views at this time, right?
Or just expressing themselves.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Not everybody's there. Not everybody's ready to be there yet, right? We're still hanging on to an external view of God, right?
Yep.
And something that's going to come from out here to
Right.
save you.
Yeah.
As
Instead of
opposed
looking
to,
here.
right, as opposed to you are that expression in the meat suit. You are the
Sure.
expression of the divine in the meat suit. Yeah. And I love how you keep bringing up the importance of humanity. And you said, you used the phrase earlier, to be more human. And I love that because to be human is not a bad thing. That's what we're here to do.
We got to be human this time anyway, so we might as well be the best damn human we could be.
Be the best human we could be. And that, I love that because I like to talk a lot about the potential.
Yeah.
Right? What is the potential of a thing? And how do we determine the potential of a thing? And sometimes you know the potential of a thing because of the viewpoint, for example, what is the potential of an oak tree? Where have we seen the
Acorn.
most
Yeah.
majestic, but all the potential of that oak tree is in the acorn,
Yeah.
right? But how do you know what the potential of that acorn is? Have you not seen the tree?
Right.
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 And
Yeah.
so I think that it's beautiful when we have an opportunity as spirit beings to, through a psychedelic ceremony, a lot of
Mhm.
times we're able to get that larger perspective
Right.
of our potential. Is like, oh my God, I've been boxing myself
Yeah.
for so long when really I am an infinite, powerful being. Yes, I have limitations in this body that I agreed to for a reason.
Right.
Because I couldn't even look at you or that beautiful oak tree or my children or anything that I love. I could not even look at if it weren't for depth, darkness, and light.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Everything reflecting.
If not, it's just a tree before, right?
That's right. And you can't see any of it if it's not for shadow.
Right.
You can't actually see any of it if it's not for shadow. So it's like we came as human beings, we came as spirit to be humans. And
Right.
how can we understand and wrap our head around what is our full potential as human beings? And we're definitely seeing the negative side of that in the world right now, like
Right.
what our potential in a negative way.
Right. Right.
Like our potential to fully destruct ourselves and our planet. We can see that.
Yeah.
Well, what's the potential in the complete reverse?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Okay. So I have a saying that I came for greatness. The only thing between me and greatness is me.
Mm.
And that's for everybody. We all have that potential. Also, that potential has not been instilled in us and cultivated and nourished like it should be.
Right.
It's
That's
been
the soil.
beat out of us.
Yes.
It's been schooled out of us.
Yes.
It's been saddened out of us. And it's hard to find that when you're in that despair, or you're just in the mire of life. And you're like, oh, screw your spirit, That's hocus pocus.
You're in survival.
I got bills to pay. Right. It is survival mode. And it has an effect on our minds and on our bodies and our physiology and how our health and our gut and everything else. It all starts that way. I just think that I try to wake up in the morning and my goal is to be a better human than yesterday. And it could be just this much. I could succeed that much. I could fail. Some days I fail miserably at it. Some days I am as human or as subhuman as anyone else, right? But I come back and I may meditate for a while and I figure out what's knocking on my head. What is the woodpecker that's bothering me? And I can get quiet and figure it out and then remove it or change the shape of it. So it's not like that. You talked about triggers. We all have them. You have them. I have them. I don't know what I say that may hit yours.
Right.
It could happen. You could be talking to anybody and say something that devastated them as a child or was a terrible experience. And there we go. But let's go work on what that trigger is. What's behind that trigger?
Yeah.
Where's the hurt? And how do we fix the hurt or at least release the hurt, process the hurt? Because if we age and we just keep stuffing things down, or as I say, we stuff them in our sack. We're like a Santa Claus with a sack of shit.
Exactly.
Every hurt, not even your hurt, your family's hurt, your generational trauma, this guy on the street, you just keep putting in your bag. And as we travel down our path, it gets so heavy that a lot of times we're probably just dragging it like this.
Yeah.
And if we stop for a minute, we open the bag and we actually examine everything that's in there.
Yeah.
And we have to relive that sometimes, right? And sometimes that hurts. That's why we don't go to the sack.
That's why we don't go
The
to
scary
it.
shit's in the sack, right? All the darkness. But if we can unload that, our sack's empty, right?
Yeah.
And then we get to skip, we're like, life gets so much lighter. And then other people will try to load our sack back up again. It could be your family. It could be your coworkers. It could be the people on the street. You keep the bag on that tight, real tight, so nothing can go in there. And if you wanted to, you could just throw the damn thing away and keep walking.
Yeah.
And really, it's the accumulation of hurt, pain, disappointment, fear, shame that we carry around with us that weighs us down and makes us hold.
The sack.
The sack.
The sack. And you You also said, you know, you mentioned how it's difficult for somebody to realize their need for healing, growth, or facing the fact that they have a sack of stuff that they're carrying around that is heavy and unuseful
Yeah.
and toxic. And at the same time, that immediate thought comes in from the ego when someone is faced with that reality. And it's, I don't got time for that. I don't
Right.
got time for that. One of the hardest things that anybody will do is, and you mentioned this to our warriors, our soldiers. I mean, you're the warrior too, by the way.
Thank you.
But you mentioned this to the group at the last ceremony of this. These are guys that have been in multiple plane crashes and combat. And you
Yeah.
said, this is going to be the hardest thing that you do in your life. And
Right.
I think one of them thought for a second you might be crazy, but then you went on and you said to them, you were trained to have no soul.
Yeah.
Right. So this is going to be one of the hardest things you do. And that's opening your heart. And along those same lines, I would say one of the hardest things for people to do is acknowledge that they're being triggered, because that would also mean that they're acknowledging there's something that hasn't been dealt with. And the minute you acknowledge that there's something that hasn't been dealt with, you leave it wide open.
Right.
And now you are face to face with the responsibility of doing something about it. And so it's easier for people to deflect
Sure.
when they're triggered and say, it's not about, I'm
It's
not
you.
triggered.
It's you. It's
They
not
were
me.
just a jackass. They were an
Right.
asshole. They were rude. They did this. Did you see
Yeah,
what they
it's
did?
them. It's always them.
them.
That's your ego. That's the
Right.
way ego protects you.
And you might have been
supposedly.
cut off. You might have been cut off in traffic, and they might have not been very nice about what they said to you. But the
Right.
fact that it destroyed you in that moment and
Yeah.
made you so angry and made you want to react is the implication that this has nothing to do with them at all.
Right.
You know?
No, nobody can steal your joy unless you let them.
Oh man.
You can give
period.
you can give it away, but you have a choice. There's always a choice. If you choose joy and kindness and love, your path is different, right? They're hard choices, but to be joyful, to have a joyful face is a choice. Even if you're in the shit, right? You can still be joyful. You can, because what looks like crap today could be your best blessing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And what you think, oh, I won the lottery, everything's great. Well, that could be your downfall right there.
Right.
So in life, there are no high highs and no low lows. If we can balance it out and bring it more on this level, and I'm not talking that you're not happy and you're not joyful, but the good is not that good and the bad is not that bad, because after 57 years, I can tell you, I've had some unbelievably shitty experience that would bring you to your knees. And the next day, it's my biggest blessing, or a month down the road or a year down the road, or whatever it takes. And I've had some unbelievable fortune that turned out to be misfortune, right?
Right.
And I think, you know, we don't understand that life is a balance.
Yeah.
And our emotions need to be in balance with our life.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to do. These are things that nobody teaches us. We have to go find this. And, you know, spiritual knowledge has been wiped off the face of the earth because there's other people who would like to manipulate their spiritual knowledge, or this one, right?
Yeah.
So the message is confusing, and there's so many gods. And if you look behind it, most of them are teaching the same message, right?
Down at the core.
Yeah, down at the core, it's all about the same, right?
Right.
But they have ownership over their religion, right? When once again, we're all one. It's all the same thing. Manipulation of minds and manipulation of people, or how governments run.
Yeah.
You know, and that's unfortunate. But we need to wake up so we can run our own lives, and we can help others wake up to run their lives. And once again, be better humans. We are a spiritual being in a human experience. And this place is pretty crazy. That's for sure. You know, I have a thought that Earth might be the place that other universes send their nutty ones, right? You've been sentenced to 10 lifetimes on Earth. You're like, oh no, not that, anything but that. It's just something I think about.
Like the spiritual Hunger Games.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, you're going to Earth. No, I'll do anything not to go to Earth. I've heard about that place.
That's wild. I don't know. I think there's so much beautiful potential. We both agree with that there's so much beautiful potential, but there is also so much unknown and so much mystery, and learning to live in a place of acceptance about that mystery, and not needing to know everything, and
Childlike wonder, I call that.
childlike wonder, but
Yeah.
at the same time being an intentional creator.
Yeah.
Like there's the dichotomy, right? Is that you wake up in the morning and you have a vision and you have a plan, but then you surrender it. And I
Yeah.
had like, oh man,
It's a circumstance, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And I used to love this one Bible verse that said, "Not by power, not by might, but by the Spirit." And it's like, for so long, success was taught through this masculine drive. We've got all my favorite teachers. I still have I'm so glad Tony Robbins is going through an evolutionary transformation.
Yeah, for sure, right.
Because I love him.
Yeah.
And I love the get it,
Yeah,
go. Right. But we also know that, living like that for a long period of time is not necessary, and it does hurt the nervous system. And we're coming into a time in human history where we're embracing the idea that we can create from more of a receptive mode.
Sure.
And that we can create more within our mind, allow ourselves to rest in the trust that the universe is bringing together all the cooperative pieces,
Yeah, for sure.
always matching your energy. And so if you focus on where your energy is, that's the majority of the work, right? Yeah, we still have to go to the grind and do the work and discipline ourselves in the work, but not the way we thought.
No,
not the way we
not
thought.
The rah, right?
Yeah.
And it's fruitless because especially when I love Tony too, right?
Yeah.
And in my younger days when I was rah, and I was go-getter, I want to climb the ladder, that's motivation.
Yeah.
But once you get to the top of the ladder, the fruit might be spoiled. Right. I mean, there came a point in my life where I had worked for everything I had, and I had everything, and my life was blessed, and people were envious, and I was hollow. I'd achieved what I wanted, and there was garbage. I had wanted the wrong thing. I had chased somebody else's dream. That wasn't my dream.
Come on.
And you can have all the things in the world you ever worked for, and you'll be as lonely gets. Yeah. You will be sad. You will think, I worked my ass off for all this, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And now what do I do? Where am I now? Because this path and this life, it's not my dream. Yeah. This is not my dream, and none of this works. So now what do I do?
You take mushrooms.
Well, you go to service, right? You become
go to ceremony.
Become more loving, more kind, more whatever, because in order to get those things over here, you're not those things.
Yeah.
There's a certain drive and determination and damned everything to go get what you want.
Yeah.
And that's totally the opposite of what's over here. So you have to shed all that. You got to get all that out.
Yeah.
Or this can't develop. And the pain will be so bad and the tug will be so bad that this is for you, but you don't know how to get across the river to get there. So how do we deconstruct this human to build this human?
Oh.
And that takes years. I've told you, I've been on some spiritual path my whole life.
Yeah.
With it going like this,
Yeah.
And sometimes I just forgot it completely for, number of years because I'm striving to be successful and I want to be acknowledged. I need money and I want to drive a car and all that shit. And once all that's gone and you're just left with your spirit and your soul and it's quiet and you think, oh God, I chased this shit for nothing.
Damn, my whole life.
My whole life. I could have been here. This is not true. You can't do this. But I could have been here when I was 20. And that's not true because you have to go through all those things.
You do.
As a combination, you put all the pieces together to make a full picture of what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
Right. And all I want to be when I grow up is better. My goal and what I've had to work on the hardest is my heart.
Yeah.
And to be able to love. Or to be loved was probably
first.
Probably harder.
Yeah.
And I'm still I'm still working with that to let others love me the way I should. I figured out how to love me. And because of our upbringing and the way we were raised and our parents, most of us are instilled with those things.
What things?
To love yourself, to be
We're
kind
not
to yourself,
instilled, right?
that
We're
you're
not
lovable.
instilled.
Let's just say that you're lovable.
Yeah.
If you grow up in a home with dysfunction or abuse or addiction, you just don't get those things.
Yeah.
So it makes life harder to teach yourself these things. Yeah. And that's not fair. It's not fair to children, right? Mm-hmm. It's not fair to anyone. And if parents had more education, then I believe that parenting should come with some certificate, something like that. Yeah. But if we can stop the generational trauma and the generational dysfunction and raise a small soul to be a larger soul, then that's your completion as a parent. Yeah. But don't destroy what could be magic. It's too hard to get it back.
And here you are, yet despite.
Yeah.
And you are one of the rare.
In spite of. I say that a lot. In spite of, I am the human I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm proud of it. If there's something that makes me sad or nervous or gets my chi out of whack, I tell myself that I'm all right. Yeah. I tell myself that I'm cared for.
Tap.
Yeah.
Tap.
Because I never had that. I didn't have encouragement. I only had discouragement. Yeah. And I do wonder what life could have been like if it were different, right? I wouldn't be this man. I would be something else. And maybe I wouldn't be this evolved or developed or whatever the hell I am at the moment. I do still have that, my parents are dead now. And sorry, I have to laugh at that because I want to cheer, but that's the way that is. Had I had encouragement, had I had nourishment, had I had water, what could I have flourished into?
Right.
Yeah, I'm working overtime to get there. Yeah. That's what I can tell you.
Well, what I'm hearing too is a really important piece that we all need to hear and be reminded. And that is that a part of our journey as we're growing and evolving and getting more opportunities to heal other aspects of ourselves as we go along, right? Till the day we die.
Yeah.
Because we do live in this realm in which as soon as you heal one thing, you break another.
Yeah, right.
And so healing is not always just about what happened as kids, but we do carry that on. And you made a good point, and that was just literally jumped out of my brain. Where did it go? Oh my God, give me some
lion's mane.
Give me some lion's mane. I forgot to take my lion's mane this morning. That's what it is. I have been so loving that. I'll come back to whatever I just dropped. But,
we'll get it.
But we'll come back to it. I've been so loving the lion's mane and the cordyceps and the reishi blend. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. But wherever I was going to go with that, it'll come back. But I was going to say that you're one of the small portion of the percentage of people that do end up making it to this point in such a way that you're able to still be of service to the world.
That's why I feel my job is more important and more urgent, right? Because there's many, many more like me. So if I'm at this point, then it is my job to go rattle cages and wake up and, touch and do, because it can be done. I'm an example. My father was an alcoholic. My brother was an alcoholic and a drug addict. And I would ask him why. And he said, oh, it's in our DNA.
Look at that message that you were given early on.
Yeah, you should be, right? My grandfather was an alcoholic too. Right. You should be. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so wrong. It's so wrong for the medical industry to say, oh no, it's in the DNA. It's really tough. It's really hard. I believe in man up.
Yeah.
Do the hard things. Do the harder things first.
Take responsibility over where you are at. And what I was going to say that jumped out of my brain before too, is that when you get to a certain place in this journey, right? Because we are kind of healing our whole lives if we accept the invitation to do so.
Right.
And that is, there comes a point in the beginning and sometimes even in the middle of this journey that you've been consciously walking on.
Yeah.
And allowing yourself to go into the triggers, allowing yourself to go into the pain of the past or the sack and unpack it and do the hard work, right? There is a point where you have to allow yourself to grieve the lost potential.
Oh my God, yeah, right.
When I realized that when I was writing my book in 2021, and I realized that there's and I talked about this on a previous episode too, there's a measuring process that is identified as the acronym ACE, which is Adverse Childhood Experiences. And this program is used by psychologists to measure the potential for someone who has had numerous adverse childhood experiences to end up with things like addiction problems, suicidal problems, weight problems, cardiovascular problems, all the stuff.
Yeah.
Anything related to autoimmune, anything related to cardiovascular. Like, so when I realized at that time, I was also on this journey to figure out how to reverse Hashimoto's, which I did. And when I was first diagnosed with it in 2017, it's an autoimmune that affects the thyroid. And so when I was first diagnosed with it in 2017 is when I started going down, plant medicine, energy work, and really just going back to what I knew worked before I ended up spending the 10 years in the church and shelving all that. I had already been trained in Oriental medicine to some degree with massage.
Oh, right on.
I already knew I'm working with energy. I already knew, I already knew these things to work and to be true, but because of my doubts about, whether or not they were acceptable to God.
You're a witch.
That was something that I had to completely unpack, which I did. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't. But when I had that moment, that aha moment, that shit literally stole my life from me.
Right. Years and
years. And not only that, my health that I don't know if I'm going to fully get back. I still deal with PTSD. I didn't even know.
Right.
Because there's now PTSI.
Right.
Because there's now information. It's everywhere. Whereas growing up, we were bad kids.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, we were just bad kids, right? And I still do come from that generation of where, rub some dirt on it, kind of.
Yeah.
I think
terrible advice.
But I also think that we still get too wrapped up in labels. So there is this middle place where it's healthy for us to understand what the data is showing us about our body.
Right.
And then at that point, go deeper and understand that data is only a reflection of your energetic body and that your body is manifesting, all of this energy that is in you. And I always refer to this book called The Body Keeps Score, even though I have to admit I haven't fully even read it yet. I've just had plenty of conversations with people that have. And so I got to read it. But the phrase by itself, the body keeps score, is so true. And so there's that point of allowing yourself to grieve and be mad for what's been lost. Feel the anger about it, but then take the power back because, okay, maybe I did lose a lot of time, or did I?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when you have this epiphany about how you really can't mess it up.
Right. Yeah. What's for you is for you. That's the way it is.
You really can't.
Right.
When you get that reality check, you realize you can take a big, deep breath and you can actually have a lot more gratitude about your journey.
That's the word I was going to use, gratitude, right?
And compassion for the people that didn't get it right, like our parents.
Yeah. I went.
And like myself as a parent.
For my dad, I was 35 when I sat him down and had a talk with him. And he said, no, you're wrong. You remember everything wrong. That didn't happen. And it I was a man. I had mustered all my manhood to have this conversation. And within 5 minutes, I knew that I was talking to this wall right here.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't speak to him for the next 10 years. Mm. And at one point in that 10 years, I did go back and it was the same thing. So when he was dying, my brother called me and said, you need to come. And I said, I don't need to come. I went. So we go to the hospital. And he had checked out of the hospital and went to Vegas for a week. And he was dying of cancer. and went and had a party and then came back and fell out and went back to the hospital. And on his deathbed, he said, "You were right, and I apologize."
Wow.
And I said, "We have wasted a whole lifetime."
Wow.
And it's a shame,
Dang.
because to outsiders, he's cool. People loved him. He was the life of the party. I have those traits, right? And my stepfather told me every day that I would be just like him. And I learned to hate him. And he never treated me well anyway. So I had another reason, but this other man that came into my life hated me because I look like him, because I act like him, and was very mean to me. But had this man not been my father, he'd be cool as hell. He'd be the guy you want to hang out with. But he was never a father.
Yeah.
And we truly wasted our whole lives. We could have had a relationship, but he wasn't there and I wasn't there, and it just wasn't going to happen. But he did teach me a lot of lessons of what I don't want to be.
Yeah.
And that's as invaluable, right? The people that we come here with this time, we ask for, and we learn lessons from them. And we might not like our parents, and they may, we might not like the people that come in our lives, but they are here to teach us something, and it's our job to learn.
That's right. That's right. And I love that you've been able to get to that point in your realization about them, because that also brings a lot of healing, and it also takes you out of victim.
Yeah, right.
And it gives you your power.
I'm in charge of my
right.
joy, right?
That's right.
That's it. I am in charge of joy, and I try to bring it to me and everybody else. I don't let you take my joy. There's nothing that can take my joy.
Yeah.
If I'm in a situation that the situation's not joyful, in my mind, I go to a place that's joyful. I can just check out and remove myself. Physically, I'm there.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting on a beach in Thailand watching baby elephants take a bath, right?
Yeah.
And if the line's backed up to the post office, I go to the post office a lot. I ship a lot of product. I just check out.
Yeah.
I transport, shapeshift, whatever you want to call it.
Now, is it disassociating?
It's just putting me and my mind and my soul in another spot that gives me great joy, right?
But you're doing it intentionally, and I think that's the difference.
Yeah, no, it's not a checkout. No,
I'm like, that's the difference.
I look around, I'm like, oh, there's 20 people deep here. I'm standing here. They're complaining. You know how society is these days. When you get a lot of people in a situation that they don't like, the energy is wanky. It's almost, you're like, oh man, I left my armor at home today. That's terrible. But I just try to go to a more pleasant place.
Yeah. And doing that intentionally and consciously is, I think, the difference.
It's difficult
between disassociating, because when you have a lot of trauma, you can learn to disassociate really easily, right? And you can check out and get through life. That's how we cope. I noticed for me, something that I was masterful at, and that was tuning everything out,
Right.
And then especially as a mom, homeschooling mom, that I also started a couple businesses while I was homeschooling. And so I had to learn to tune out, the kids' TV shows and all that, and know which arguments were detrimental.
I'm on the beach in Thailand, but I still know what's going on.
Yeah.
I have a cursor ability that I can listen to everybody's conversation at one time.
Oh man. That is a curse.
It is really a curse, because most people aren't bringing the joy and the positivity, right? They're complaining, especially in a situation like that. But I'm aware of what's going on around me at all times. It's a vigilance, if you will.
Well, and that does also come from childhood trauma. And, I was just learning about, which ends up being something that you can claim as a gift, because it becomes a strength.
If you use it as a gift, it is. You can use it as a curse.
Exactly. And a lot of people do. They walk around, I'm an empath and I feel everything. It's like, that is a trauma response. Disassociating is also a trauma response. But when you get older and you're aware of how you evolved because of the traumatic situation, that's when you can change the narrative and say, well, you know what? I'm going to use these.
Blessings or curses, man.
Yeah, I'm going to use these as a blessing.
Unfortunately, they have different names.
Yeah.
But really, they could be the same thing.
Right. It's that thin line.
That's right.
It's that thin line between good and evil and love and hate. And there really is a thin line in its perspective.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And so before we run out of time today, I do want to know a little bit more about what's your vision for your company. Where can our listeners get your products?
Okay.
And
Alchemist Farms is a producer of Psilocybin,
Mm-hmm.
a producer of medicinal mushroom extracts, which are lion's mane, turkey tail, chaga, reishi, and cordyceps. And those
Yeah.
are the 5 big. That's Chinese medicine. These products have been used in the East since there was an East, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each one of them can work on a different ailment or a different part of the body, depending on what you need. In Japan, turkey tail is cancer, tumors, those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
We do extractions. We do powdered extractions. We sell extractions to other companies to develop their products.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We do farmers markets. We do education. We teach people how to grow mushrooms so they can grow mushrooms at home. My business partner is in the wholesale mushroom business, so he moves a lot of mushrooms. But anything that has to do with mushrooms and health, there's a new line coming out for pets,
Yeah.
for pet health, because every dog has tumors, every dog has lumps. A lot of dogs these days have cancer.
Yeah.
Veterinary bills have gone crazy.
Joint problems.
Yeah, I've just lost my dog of 15 years a few months ago. The vet that tended to him is going to endorse the products because she knows how holistic medicine works on pets and animals.
I'm sorry about your dog.
That's okay.
That's hard.
That's all right.
He's old though, right?
Yeah, he was old,
old and ready.
he was having some problems. And our time together was time together.
Yeah.
And I had another one before him. They're border collies. Same name, same dog, same spirit, I'm sure.
You knew.
And there'll be a third one coming down the road. That's the way it is.
I love that.
And
Soul contract you got there.
You know my personal, I'm not involved. I've spent the last 15 years evolving, not being involved. So to have a companion and a pet and he was the other me as well. That it's pretty special.
Yeah. I love that you're coming out with a line for pet because I also have, my lab has the what they consider normal aging issues.
Right.
But I've heard so many amazing things about alternatives that
are
out there.
The joints too. And before mushrooms, it was CBD.
Right.
And that particular animal was on CBD for the last 10 years. And until the end, he was still active. He still ran. He still played Frisbee. I take CBD on a regular basis. Alchemist Farms was a CBD company.
Okay.
And then it evolved into mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an advocate for CBD in a medicine tincture form as well. Not so much in a gas station.
Yeah.
Gummy situation.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm big on that.
I've never had a bad experience with a gas station gummy or anything.
There's a mushroom for longevity. It's for longevity, and that's why the East is using.
Which one is that?
It's all of them together, right? It is. Mushrooms are longevity.
The magic 7.
They are medicinal. They are medicine.
Yeah.
And they are amazing.
Yeah. And
so get yourself some.
The first form of intelligence on this
supposedly.
Planet, right? Supposedly.
Right.
And so that's just super exciting. And we just can't be more blessed to have you on our team.
Thank
and
you.
Also making psilocybin microdose sacraments available to all of our members.
Those will be available as of this afternoon.
Oh my gosh. How amazing is that? And I microdose and you microdose.
Yes, every day.
And it is really, truly transformative. I remember the first time I microdosed, I knew, of course, I had already been on the journey of becoming aware of my thoughts and my mind. So I'm very hypersensitive to things that change in my body.
Right.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Mushrooms kick in almost immediately for me.
Right.
And so when I first started microdosing, I remember looking around at my house, now being primarily a homemaker, running a couple different, odd businesses and raising kids. Mostly everything's from home. Right. And so I had a tendency of getting really super overwhelmed by clutter.
Right.
Because I need to focus on things, right? And so I'd stop what I'm doing and I'd look around and I'd notice everything and there's just that moment of instant where do I even start with this?
I call that the
pang. Horrible, which goes to anger too, because then I get mad.
Right. And it's kids' mess. So get in here and pick your shit up and
then I'm mad, right? And then I'm asking myself, okay, what am I really mad about? What is this? I go down all those questions. But the first time I microdosed, I remember I started to go down that road. And I stopped almost as if somebody had literally put a stop sign in the middle of the road and gave me a crossroad.
Yeah.
And they were, and it's like you talk about that neural pathway that was formed, the choices that happened. And it was like in that moment, I knew that I had a choice to think about this differently.
Yeah.
And so the panic that I normally felt was gone.
Right.
I was very aware of my ability to think differently about the clutter
Right.
and to actually look at it one piece at a time
Yeah.
and to start putting one little thing away at a time. Next thing you know, an hour later, it wasn't cluttered anymore and I was never overwhelmed. And I was sold day one of microdosing for me. So it's incredible.
I find if I take it in the morning, I'm extremely effective, right?
Yeah.
Like my list, I can check things off like crazy. If I take it in the afternoon, I'm super calm, super chill. And it works on different people, different ways, it's sub-psychedelic. So you don't even notice you have it,
Right.
except you feel a little more joyful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, mood elevation,
Yeah.
like nobody's business. Matter
Right.
of fact, I, do take it pretty regularly, but I hadn't been taking it regularly for a while because I know also it's 5 days on, 2 days
Right.
off, right? But I hadn't been doing it that consistently for a while. And then I had a week where I was, and it was like, not that there was a crash, but there was a noticeable difference.
Yeah, there is. For
in
sure.
the way, just the overall way I felt.
Right.
And so it really is a mood enhancer.
Mhm.
And will,
Over time, they're amazing because some of my people don't want to take a large dose,
Right.
right? They want to go, they're comfortable. And especially, I work with a lot of older people too. Mostly the sick and the sad is what I work with, but they're scared of a large dose of mushrooms, or, they've heard things and they're not as open, but they'll take the microdose. And especially the older people are like, I feel so good. And what it's helping with them also is dementia and to prevent dementia because of the neuron growth.
Right.
And they don't even know that. That's a side effect of feeling better for them. And a microdose is pretty amazing. It really is amazing the way it works over time.
And one day, we're going to sit in a world where we all can take these things easily without all these extra regulations. But I am super thankful that right now we at least are protected under the Constitution to observe our rights to divine to commune with the divine through our sacraments. And I love that we actually have the daily sacraments available now in the microdose form for our members.
It's my pleasure. And I'm blessed to be able to provide it.
Yeah, because it's incredible to also, consume that as a part of your spiritual maintenance.
Sure. Oh,
and knowing that is part of your responsibility to
and I told
fellowship with the divine.
My love and reverence goes into each one. I bless them. I bless the people that take them and the people who are associated with the people that take them.
Yeah, I feel it.
That's
I
awesome.
feel it. Ceremony was fantastic. I was so excited to have you there. You had a nice journey, right?
Oh, it was life changing. It really was. And I've had a lot of psychedelic mushrooms.
Right.
I've had a lot of psychedelic products in my life, and I've done a one-on-one. But I've never done group, right? I've never had community. And really, if you want to move and you want to move fast and you want to make change, do it with your brothers and sisters. Amen. Because we all share the same fears, hopes, dreams, shame, whatever it is. And when others can tell you theirs and you're like, oh shit, I have that too. Yeah. I've done that too. Now it's not hidden and it's not scary and you can hug somebody and now you move together. And we only get to where we're going by moving together.
That's right. And this coming from a guy that's been, felt like you've kind of been in a cocoon for a long time. So I'm so proud of you to come out of that cocoon and be like, all right.
Thank you for asking me, right?
Yeah.
And this is...
I'm jumping in.
I'm a yes guy, but 2026 is the year of yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. The fire horse.
Right. Let's go. We're running with the horse.
Yes, absolutely. And but we have been like the hermit. We've been in an incubation. Many of us have been in an incubation period of waiting and trusting and doing the work in the soil.
Right.
So that environment for this launching period of time for true change to happen in our world.
Shed what doesn't work for you. That's right.
Shed that skin. Get out and share the message of hope. And so with that being said, we have another ceremony coming up. Our goal is to have at least one ceremony for you once a month. And you can find us at nofallenheroes.org. Also sacredwarriorfellowship.com. in order to check out our ceremony schedule. But we have one coming up, a 2.5-day retreat here in Fort Pierce. And if you want to get in on that schedule, I suggest doing it now. Get a hold of us. You can also find us on Instagram and all the social media outlets. Listen to us wherever you do listen to us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And is there somewhere that they specifically can find you?
Alchemistfarms.com.
Okay, alchemistfarms.com. Mike, I'm looking forward to
Thank
all
you so
the things
much.
that are going to unfold.
Thank you.
And so thankful for everything that you do and for your friendship and for just this opportunity to sit down and share a conversation with you.